Greetings folks, I'm Anto and today we're going to be making an awesome looking city map in Wonderdraft. I've already made a video showing you how to use the Watabu online fantasy city generator with Wonderdraft to make something that looks more impressive, but today we're going to go the extra mile and I'm going to show you how spending a little extra time can result in an amazing looking city map. To be able to recreate this process, you're going to need the Summer Battle Map Assets Pack by the drafting table, which I'll leave a link to in the description below, and you'll need some extra assets and I'll link them as well. The first step is obviously going to be to generate your Watabu city. You can generate any size or any shape city you want here. It doesn't have to have walls, even though my example does, because we're going to be adding the walls separately right at the end of the process. So go crazy, add anything that you want in the Watabu options, just generate a city and then export it. Once I had a city that I was happy with, I exported it and fired up Wonderdraft. I set my canvas size to A3 and used the Avoro 4.0, which is my preferred theme because of the number of colors it's got. I will also leave a link to that theme in the description down below. Once I had generated my canvas, I filled the entire thing in with land. This is just to make the entire process a little bit easier rather than generating a specific coastline. Then I used the trace tool and imported my Watabu map. I scaled it to a size that I was happy with and lowered the opacity so that I could see my map below it. With that then, I added in my river and coastline really roughly here. I wasn't concerned with getting all the detail, I just wanted them in place so I could build my city around them. Once my city was in place, I started by adding the roads. Now, the Watabu cities are really oddly shaped, so I thought it would be easier to start by tracing all of the roads using the path tool in Wonderdraft and then add my building assets based on the position of the roads rather than trying to place the buildings on top of the Watabu city, because the city blocks and the buildings themselves are so oddly shaped. If you follow this process but decide you don't want to use the Watabu base and you just want to make a city from scratch, then you can do whatever you want here. But I would recommend always trying to keep your roads at either right angles or at 45 degrees if you're going to do this. It makes placing your buildings much easier. Once the roads were done, it was time for the most tedious part, which was adding the buildings. Now, this took me around 3 hours. I added over 500 individual buildings to my map. This process is definitely not something you want to do for every single city, but if you've got a campaign that takes place entirely within a city, or you know your players are going to be in one place for a long time, it's worth spending the extra effort because you can really dial in on the details and make your players feel like this is a real living place. Once the buildings were added, I started to add colour. I laid in a foundation of greens, sand colours and dirt tones all across the map just to get a nice foundation, and then I went in and started adding specific colours. I darkened the area around the roads, added in the street colour all throughout the city, and added the colours outside the bounds of the city. While I was doing this, I also added in a few parks within the city, and at the same time I used the tree assets in that same Summer Battle Map pack to fill in some spaces with greenery inside the city. I chose to colour all of my buildings the same for the sake of time for this tutorial, but each building is an individual asset, so you can colour them however you want. And with Wonderdraft's newest merge tool, you can merge entire city blocks or entire sections of your city into one asset, and you can colour them all in one go. With the bulk of the city done, I moved on to refining my water edge. I used the raise and lower landmass tools to follow the river and follow the coastline of the lake, just to make things a little more detailed. Next, I picked up a modular forest asset pack, which I'll link in the description down below, and I used that to make a forest outside of the city walls. I chose to do this instead of using Wonderdraft's base trees because the city has a top-down view. The trees have sort of an isometric view, and those different perspectives can look kind of strange sometimes. So I chose to go for more of a top-down forest. For the city walls, I couldn't find an asset pack with walls that I liked. I found several isometric ones that looked great, but I couldn't find any top-down walls. So instead, I exported my map, pulled it over into Photoshop, and used the shape tools to trace around the Watabu walls, making adjustments for my city, and then I merged them all into one layer and coloured it in a neutral grey. This is a temporary measure, and as soon as an asset pack is released that has some top-down walls that I like, I will go into Wonderdraft and make the walls in the program. But with the walls done, all that's left to do is add some finishing touches, add some names for rivers, lakes, and maybe some districts, and then this map is done. I am really pleased with how it ended up looking, even though it took a long time, all told, with the placing of the buildings, doing all the roads and filming it all. It took me about 7 hours to do this map. I could definitely do it quicker if I hadn't been filming and if I were to do it again, but I'm really pleased with the end result. I think it looks significantly better than just a base Watabu generated map, or using the process I've used in previous videos, dragging that into Wonderdraft. That gives a good result, but it doesn't feel very alive, and I think having all of these individual buildings in this particular map feels much more interesting. I think it'll make the players want to explore the area a lot more, so I'm really pleased with the end result versus the amount of time it took. Like I said, this process definitely isn't something that you should do for every single settlement, but for the really important locations, or if you want something a little more special for your players, then this is definitely something to consider. I really hope you found this video helpful, and I hope that it has inspired you. If it has, make sure to hit that like button, and if you've made some really detailed city maps in Wonderdraft, I would love to see them in the comments below. If you're new here and like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to see new RPG related videos every single week. But until next time, happy gaming. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for new content every single Friday. And if you want to keep watching, well, there's another couple videos for you to watch just over there. Happy gaming.